Blog Talk Radio.
Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. This is the Choppin It Up Show, brought to you by the Marching Podcast and Blog Talk Radio. I'm your official Marching Podcast announcer, David Thompson, and here's your host, the Phantom Podcaster himself, Joe Beard.
All right, good evening and welcome to the 90 Degree Show. I'm your host, Joe Beard, and happy to be of service to you tonight. Today is February 19th, February 19th, 2013, 8:30 on the West Coast and 11:30 on the East Coast, and we appreciate you listening tonight. Tonight's show is brought to you by bandhead.org and Liquid Effects Photography. Tonight we chop it up with Darian Hampton. Darian is a really good friend of mine that went to high school with me, and he has grown into a positive role model for the young people to follow. Darian has his own dental practice in the Dallas, Texas area, and a proud graduate of the Black Medical School, Meharry, in Nashville, Tennessee. My godfather, Walter Washington, was a graduate of Meharry Medical School and practiced in the St. Louis, Missouri area for the majority of my lifetime. So shout out to Meharry. And I really wanted to focus on them tonight and wanted the listeners to hear Darian's story and also let them know that there are black medical schools out there. Meharry is in Nashville, Tennessee. Howard University has a medical school in Washington, D.C., Morehouse School of Medicine in Atlanta, Georgia, and the Charles Drew Medical School in Willowbrook, California, which is in the Watts region of Los Angeles. So we really appreciate you listening tonight and excited about the show. So like I said, tonight's show is brought to you by bandhead.org and Liquid Effects Photography. So let's go ahead and hear from our sponsors now.
What if there was a Facebook for bands? Wait a minute, there is, bandhead.org. Bandhead.org is a social network for HBCU show bands. You can create your own profile and post videos, photos, and comments on bandhead.org. Need somewhere to post events, audition schedules, job postings? Check out bandhead.org. Are you recruiting for talent? Go to bandhead.org. And coming this fall, HBCUbands.com. Write that down, HBCUbands.com. Are you thinking of tying the knot, having a party, or celebrating that special time in your life? To capture these special moments, call Liquid Effects Photography and take advantage of our 10 years of quality and experience. Liquid Effects Photography covers most of the Midwestern U.S. and will travel even farther on request. Call us at 773-454-5556. That's 773-454-5556. Or check out our website, liquideffects.com. That's LIQUIDEFFEX.com. Come experience the uniqueness of Liquid Effects Photography.
Okay, thanks to our sponsors for helping us to improve the show. And we are putting all our funds in for a scholarship fund as well. So we're really excited about the future of the Marching Podcast and partnership with our sponsors. And we're ready now to chop it up with Darian Hampton. This is a podcast, and we will not be accepting phone calls, but you can email the show at marchingpodcast@gmail.com, tweet us at marchingpodcast, or follow our blog the4.themarchingpodcast.com. That's the4.themarchingpodcast.com. So without further ado, let's chop it up with Darian Hampton.
You are now here with the Marching Podcast, and we are here now with Darian Hampton. Darian is a really good friend of mine. How you doing today, Darian?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I really appreciate your time and really appreciate you being on the show. I really wanted to highlight what you're doing because, you know, that's the purpose of the show. So let's dive right into it, man. Where are you from?
St. Louis, Missouri. home of the world champion St. Louis Cardinals.
That's tight. That's tight. That's really cool, man. Now, are your parents from St. Louis?
No. Well, yeah, my dad is. My mom is from a little town called Scuba, Mississippi.
Wow. Okay. Okay. That's pretty cool. Now, just for the record, where did your mother go to college?
Jackson State.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. I just wanted to double check that. So, where did you go to high school?
Lutheran North Crusaders.
Okay, that's it's a pretty good high school there.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
State champions in track. I think, weren't you triple jump champion?
Yeah, I was. It was 1996. Yeah, the triple jump. We won 3 years in a row, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won the first 2 years, our junior, senior year, and then the year after we left, they won. So shout out to Luther North the years we were there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And growing up in St. Louis, were you exposed to any marching bands?
I was. I used to go to the different Gateway Classics that we used to have. I remember the first one that they had, Steve McNair was there at Alcorn State, the late Steve McNair. So that was probably my first experience with marching band.
Okay. I think I remember that too. I think yeah, it was like 95 or 96 or something.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So you saw the marching bands there. Now, where did you go to college?
I went to the University of Missouri in Columbia.
Okay. Now, was there a specific memory, or was there anything that made you select that school?
Sort of. Like I got a pretty good scholarship there. Because my first choice was actually Tulane University in New Orleans.
Okay.
That was where I really wanted to go, but it was much further, and I didn't have the scholarship money to support me being able to go back and forth, and that's a extremely long drive. So Mizzou ended up being a better fit for me.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that you wanted to go to Tulane, man. That's something. That's something I didn't know about you. So now, were you a part of any groups when you were there at Mizzou?
Yeah, I was part of the LBC. It's the Legion of Black Collegians. I was a member of the government. I played the piano and the keyboard for the gospel choir that we had on campus. That was a lot of fun. It kept me busy. Wow.
So, other than the marching bands from the Gateway Classic, you were playing the piano. So you were exposed to music before then, right?
Yeah, I started playing my senior year at Lutheran North. So, yeah, that's when I got me a keyboard and started messing around a little bit. And then I just continued on with that at Mizzou and started playing for the choir and teaching songs, and I started to really enjoy music. I probably started playing just because I saw how my friend Jared Owens, when he would play in high school, like, the women just loved it. They're crazy. I was like, why don't you just pick me up like that? And then you would pull out the horn and just do all your riffs and stuff. So that's when I started to get interested in it.
That's really cool. That's really cool, man. Yeah, I remember Jared. Yeah, Jared. Shout out to Jared. I know Jared's out there somewhere. I think he was living in Indianapolis. He came to California. He was out here like in Riverside a couple years ago, and I saw him for a quick second. So it was good to see him. And what was your best memory from Mizzou?
My best memory. Well, a crazy memory I have is it was I can't remember what year it was, but I was at the football game, and we were playing the University of Texas, which was a pretty big rival for us. And Ricky Williams was on the team actually that year, and they were ranked like number 17 or 15 in the country, and we beat them. And I remember me, Kevin Thurman, and Byron Michaud, we were all sitting there, and when we beat them, people started rushing the field, and we were on the front row, so it was either we rush with them or we get trampled over. So we all rushed like crazy people, and people were climbing all the way up the field goal post to bring it down. I mean, it was literally a mob scene. I lost my glasses. And we tore down the goal post. They carried it all the way downtown. I stopped when we got close to my dorm because it was just crazy. So that's probably my craziest memory at Mizzou. Probably just the best memory was graduating.
Right.
That's probably my most fondest memory because it was time to move on to bigger and better things. So yeah, that's probably my best memory there.
Yeah, I heard that, man. Now, what was your major when you were at Mizzou?
I had a dual major, so I did biology with a minor in sociology, but I also did theater.
Okay.
I was really interested in theater and acting and things like that, so those were my majors.
Right, so you had dreams and aspirations of, like, being an actor, or? Not
really. I wasn't, like, if something happened and somebody discovered me, then I think I would have enjoyed more Broadway than Hollywood acting.
Uh-huh.
But it was just something that I was really interested in, and learning being stage left, stage right, projecting while you're on stage, feeling the energy of the crowd. It's all live. That was pretty intense, but it was fun.
Cool. Now after you finished Mizzou, did you continue your education past undergrad?
Yeah. I started, because around my junior year, I started just trying to decide, and I should have decided beforehand, what is it that I really want to do, because I never wanted to graduate and just work at any job that someone without my qualifications could work at. I was trying to decide did I want to specialize. When I was younger, I thought about being an attorney, but then I thought more about being either a physician or a dentist. So as I shadowed a few dentists, especially some orthodontists that just do braces, I was like, I could really do this, and I love working with my hands, and I like the science of it too. So I started applying for dental school my senior year at Mizzou. I didn't get in. They told me I needed to strengthen some of my science requirements, so I did a year working on a master's program in biomedical science at Southern Illinois University, just 15 minutes from St. Louis. So I did that for a year, and then I got into dental school at Meharry Medical College in Nashville, Tennessee. So I did dental school for 4 years, and now I'm a dentist in North Dallas.
Okay, now Meharry is the black medical school in Nashville. That's correct?
Yes.
Okay, now what made you pick Meharry to go to medical school?
Well, the reason I chose Meharry was because Meharry really chose me. I knew graduating I didn't have the strongest GPA. My DAT score, which is the dental version of the MCAT, that score was pretty strong, but I didn't have the strongest GPA. So I looked at schools that had what's called a post-baccalaureate program, and what this is, it's a 1-year program that you basically get to prove yourself at the dental school. You take a lot of the classes that you'll take your first year, you retake your DAT or your MCAT, and then if you do well in that, then they'll let you into the next year's class. So Meharry was one of the schools that had this program. And also when I looked at the history behind Meharry, I mean, it's been around since the late 1800s. It graduates more dentists and physicians that are African American than any other institution in the country. I was really excited to be able to go there. So that's why I chose Meharry.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited that you went there. Myself, my godfather, who's passed now, he actually went to Meharry, and he was a big time doctor in the community in St. Louis. I don't know if you know Walter Washington, but he was big time in the St. Louis community in the 60s, 70s, and he went to Meharry, and he did well with supporting his family, and his sons and grandchildren and everything are out there doing well. So it's really cool. Kind of rolls into my next question for you. What was the difference between Meharry and Mizzou? And of course, other than the coursework, but what would you say is the difference between the two institutions?
Meharry was so much more intense. I mean, it required a different level of focus at Meharry. I mean, the classes are longer. You get to do a lot more interesting things, but you're honing a specific craft. When you're in undergraduate school, you're learning things. You're taking, depending on what your major is, you're taking science classes, you're taking business classes, so you learn the basics about things. But when you go into a specialty degree, it just requires an intense amount of focus, I would say. And then also the environment. University of Missouri is a majority Caucasian school. Meharry is about 97, 96% African American. So that was it. I enjoyed that, even though I had classmates that were from different ethnic backgrounds. In fact, my closest friend in at Meharry was actually Caucasian, but she's my sister because we became really cool and very close. Our families are still close. But Meharry was it just required a different amount of focus, similar to being online. I didn't pledge a fraternity, but it was very similar to how people describe being online.
Wow. So your differences were strictly, I guess, like the coursework, with the difference in having the specialty being in medicine. It was a lot harder. It was interesting that you say that you knew a Caucasian girl there. Are there a lot? I know that you said that 97% probably are black. Are there a lot of white women there, or Indian? What's the other demographic makeup of Meharry?
My class had a few ladies that were of Indian descent. I think there were about 4 or 5 girls that were Caucasian, 2 or 3 guys that were Caucasian. It was mainly women. Like the whole class, there were more women.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I think throughout the school, because those numbers before, it was, especially in dentistry, it was mainly a male-dominated, but now there are more and more women that are graduating, which is really good for the field. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. There's actually a lot of studies, even just talking about women in general, of all cultural backgrounds attending, more historically black institutions, because they want to get the education. You know what I mean? They're not going to be so so worried about the name, they're going to go to get the instruction, especially if it has something to do with a geographical location. You're going to go to the closest school to you. You know what I mean? So one last question about Meharry. What would you feel, I guess, was the difference in being in an educational environment where more black people versus being in an educational environment, I guess, like at Mizzou or how we were in high school? It was kind of like 50-50, but, 90-some% black, and especially in a medical field. Were there any challenges, or were there any differences or obstacles in that environment?
No. No, there weren't any obstacles. I mean, we were the majority, which is you don't get that anywhere else unless you go to a HBCU. But I can't say it was really different being black or white or Indian or anything like that. It never really came up. We were all so focused on just getting the education and being able to graduate and become dentists, physicians, whatever. So the fact that we were all proud, especially those that were black, that we were going to a school with as much history as Meharry, and getting opportunities that we wouldn't get at other majority schools, because most majority schools only let in maybe 1 to 2 black people in their class per year. There's a few more in medical school. They may allow up to 6, sometimes up to 10, but most schools, the larger universities, you don't get that opportunity. So we were all proud of that, but we were also proud of the training we got. Like graduating, when I graduated and went to work, I worked with people that went to Harvard, went to Tufts, went to all these really big schools, and they couldn't do the same procedures that I could do. So or it would take them 2 appointments when I could do it in 1 appointment. So the training we got there was top notch by far. By far.
I'm really glad you gave that answer, because you hit on 2 important points, and I hope that I could get it for the listener. First of all, you said that there was not a difference in the education as far as like what color you were. We're all human, and we all have to read data, and we all have to research. So that never should come across to what color you are as who sits next to you or who you study with. You know what I mean? I thought that was a really good point. And then you said that you knew the white female that you did. I think you said, from what I remember, because you and I were living in Nashville together. Didn't you say she was from Houston?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I remember you talking about her. Okay, so I think that was important that you said that, but also I think the important part too was that it was the difference that we were all proud, and everyone was so concentrated on the work and the education and the proud part. I think that that experience for you, and that's why I'm doing this podcast, I wanted to do the interview with you, is so that we could tell the world that education is colorless, but at the same time, it's when you concentrate on that common goal, it is a sense of pride, and that's what attending these historically black colleges are about. So I'm really glad that you said that, because it really is about the education, and I hope that we all can focus on that in the future. So quick, we're getting to somewhat towards the end. What was your first job out of Meharry?
I worked at a place called Jefferson Dental Clinic, which is pretty big in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. They cater mainly to the Hispanic population. Being in Texas, so close to Mexico, we have a lot of Hispanics here, a lot of Spanish-speaking people here. So that was my first job. I worked there for a year, and I look at that place as a kind of a residency. Because in dental school, you don't have to do a residency. Like once you graduate for 4 years, if you want to be a general dentist, you can go straight to work. And And I felt comfortable enough with my training that I could, one, do that, but two, if I found a place that I could work where I could still develop my craft, work with an older dentist that could show me different things that I may not have learned in dental school, that was important for me. And Jefferson Dental Clinic, it was like I call it a well-paid residency, is what I did for a year. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Now, and where do you currently work?
Right now I have my own practice. It's called the Hamptons, hence Darian Hampton, but it's called the Hamptons Dental. It's in a North Dallas suburb called Carrollton, Texas.
Okay. And what are the positives of having your own practice?
Positives are you can lead as you see fit. You're able to do the treatment that you want to do. You don't have, even though at my last job I worked at a larger place called Monarch Dental, and I was able to do for the most part the type of treatment that I wanted to do, but here I have full autonomy to lead, to increase technology, to bring in new services as I see fit. So there's definitely a lot of positives to being your own boss. I mean, with any positive, there's more responsibility that comes with it. You're ultimately responsible for everything, for payroll, managing employees, supplies, all the different things that come with being an owner of your business. But I think the positives outweigh any negatives that would be part of it.
Yeah, that actually goes into my next question. I was going to ask you, were there any negatives in having your practice?
Well, the main thing is staffing. If you don't have the right staff, the right team around you, then it's going to make things miserable for you. In fact, the guy that I bought my practice from, I think one of the reasons why he got tired and frustrated was members of the staff they didn't function well as a team. There were divided visions, and it just created a lot of conflict. So one of the major problems for me was to remove people that didn't fit the vision that that my wife and I had for the practice. And then once we removed those people, was to find people that would be able to function well as a team and be able to follow your vision. So that's probably the hardest thing, and that's not just dentistry. Any business that you're in, if you're not working with a good team, you don't have a good team leader, it's just going to create a lot of conflict and chaos.
Yeah, I'm definitely learning that myself, man. What so far has been your most rewarding experience in your practice?
The most rewarding is when I like to do a lot of cosmetic procedures. Veneers is a big one. And when I meet someone who has been embarrassed about their smile, like for example, I had a patient that we completed recently, and she hated her teeth. She would never smile. She would never smile in pictures. In fact, if people were taking pictures, she would volunteer to take the picture because she hated her teeth that much. So we did veneers on her top and lower teeth, and she cried. When we put them on, she just couldn't contain herself. She just cried because she couldn't stop smiling because she said, I finally have a smile, and to me that's priceless.
Yeah, that's actually really cool, man. I appreciate it, Dad. I mean, just from a personal standpoint, and just growing up with you and from good old freshman days, and I can talk about a couple of classes we had, man, but I'm just really proud of you, man, and what you're doing and how, we've all grown up. Do you have any future plans, upcoming events, and if we were ever in the Dallas area or anyone listening from the Dallas area, how can we get in contact with your business?
Well, my website is thehamptons with the S dental.com. And all of the contact information is there. Upcoming events, I've done a couple of bridal events. We offer a really cool procedure called 6-month smiles, which allows you to straighten your teeth, close your teeth if you have gaps in 6 months. So that's really popular with brides that are getting married and want that smile makeover before the wedding. Also, my wife and I just released a line of wines called Sociology that we have events all throughout Texas because we're going to be in over 200 stores throughout Texas before Thanksgiving this year. So we, on my wife's website, which is sociologywine.com, and sociology is spelled with an IE at the end instead of a Y, there are constantly events throughout the remainder of the year where we'll be at, and I'm very excited about that also.
Yeah, that's really cool. And in the future, we'll be actually interviewing Darian's wife. That's Amy Hampton, a graduate of Hampton University, another proud HBCU. But you guys are really doing your thing. I'm really proud of you, Darian. I love you, man, and I appreciate your time of being on the show today.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we're live, and we're back up top here in the studio. We really appreciate talking to Darian. It always brings back memories talking to Darian. Really good times with him. We were kind of, young, and him and a couple of other guys, we called ourselves the firm. Young guys always naming cliques. I'm sure plenty of you guys and girls out there too always had like your name cliques out there when you were growing up in high school and some of you in college. But we were the firm, and so it's all good to see us all growing up, man. But it's really cool. We're at the end of our show, and we want to take this last block, to show love to our sponsors one last time. Again, tonight's show was brought to you by bandhead.org and Liquid Effects Photography. So let's go ahead and hear from them one last time before we sign off.
What if there was a Facebook for bands? Wait a minute, there is. Bandhead.org. Bandhead.org is a social network for HBCU show bands. You can create your own profile and post videos, photos, and comments on bandhead.org. Need somewhere to post events, audition schedules, job postings? Check out bandhead.org. Are you recruiting for talent? Go to bandhead.org. And coming this fall, HBCUbands.com. Write that down, HBCUbands.com. Are you thinking of tying the knot, having a party, or celebrating that special time in your life? To capture these special moments, call Liquid Effects Photography and take advantage of our 10 years of quality and experience. Liquid Effects Photography covers most of the Midwestern U.S. and will travel even farther on request. Call us at 773-454-5556. That's 773-454-5556. Or check out our website, liquideffects.com. That's LIQUIDEFFEX.com. Come experience the uniqueness of Liquid Effects Photography.
All right. Well, it's always good to hear from our sponsors. Always good to hear. Be on the air, and always good to give you guys some content. Like I said last time we were on the air, the show is growing, and we really appreciate that. That's all the time that we have for tonight on our show. So we really appreciate the listens. We really appreciate Darian Hampton, bandhead.org, and Liquid Effects Photography. Check out the website, www.themarchingpodcast.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Thanks to you for listening. And remember, the eye is a better pupil and more willing than the ear. Advice may be misleading, but examples are always clear. See you next time.